this is the same. No, this is another one. So those
Where?
big trees.
Let me look at it. Wow. That's an amazing tree. So we think we're gonna get about what 70,000 that we didn't underwrite for the sugarcane. I think we calculated about 70,000.
Yeah, anywhere from 60 to 70, depending on the harvest, depending on how good of a winter we have, or good of a rain.
And when would they harvest this, Luis?
First week of December.
First week of December, and that won't mess up with our planting.
No, it might mess it up by like 1 or 2 weeks, but if I have to delay everything.
But it's worth it because...
Well, it's 2 weeks worth of shit and we get $70,000. Yeah, I mean, it's,
It helps out the cash flow.
Cool.
And what happened here?
So stop, let me explain this. So this is something very particular to this part of the country. What you see here is a dry riverbed. So these dry riverbeds have a lot more sand. So these are sandy patches, basically. So whenever you are designing your irrigation system, you have to take these into account because you have to manage the water differently in these sandy patches. You require the same amount of water, but distribute it differently because the infiltration rate is so fast that instead of doing like one irrigation every couple days, you have to irrigate maybe 2 or 3 different times a day. Just because whatever amount of water you put just goes straight down.
And we can plant on here too.
Yeah, it's just...
it's plantable. You just have to change your irrigation settings.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to take them into account when you design your irrigation system, because what will happen is in these parts you'll have like twin irrigation systems. One will go off whenever the whole farm goes off, and then you'll have a different one that goes off just for the sandy patches. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Luis, generally at this property, what kind of soil? How would you describe the soil? Was it
sandy loam?
Sandy loam.
Yeah. These patches right here, it's still loam. They're just sandier and without any irrigation. So this farm has not had irrigation in a very long time. So what they do, since they don't have irrigation, is they don't plant them. It doesn't look like this because the sugar died. It looks like this because it was never planted. Because they know that if you don't have irrigation, it doesn't make any sense to plant them because they can't go 6 months without water. So when you have an informal operation, what you do is you just don't plant them.
For the sugar that you see here today, do you grow that from seed? Do you germinate seed out here in the field?
It's not necessarily a seed. You cut a little stem off.
Okay.
And then you replant that, and that germinates.
Okay. So every single year when they harvest, they have to replant the stem?
No.
Or does it just grow back after you cut it?
It grows back after you cut it, and usually it'll thin out, and by the 5th year, that's when you renovate.
But why do they burn it again?
Because it moves less matter to the mill. So basically, like I said, the leaves don't
This guy on our road?
Yeah. The leaves don't produce anything, so there's no point in taking it back all the way to the sugar mill.
How did he get in here? Through the gate?
Yeah.
Did we tell him to get off?
No. I think he's one of the guys that lives in a little homestead.
There's 2 families that live in that homestead, actually.
Were you there when I said hello to him the other time?
Yeah.
And then, okay, it's the sugarcane. I see it over there on the other side.
See, there's a difference between sugar that's been taken care of and sugar that has not been
That's
taken
very high over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And what have been the historical uses of this farm, our farm?
Sugar, cattle, That's about it.
Have there been years in the last, say, I don't know, 1 or 2 decades where this property right here couldn't secure a sugar contract?
No.
Sugar prices were too low? No. It's close enough to the mill that this was always...
These lands are always going to be in demand for sure, just because they're so close to the mills. And not just one, like 3 different mills. Maybe make a left here. So these roads that go from north to south, we're gonna have to race them. By race them, I mean grab all the gravel that's on top of it and pack it up, just because if you just try to plant on top of them, they'll never produce anything. But we don't need roads that go from north to south.
And we'll have our channels between the rows that you can drive through.
So we're back at where we started at, where the production facility is going to be.
Where the tree's at, right?
With this on the other side of the road. This is, like I said, very important, because when we go back to the computer and we look at stuff, this is a key point where we have to...
This is where the production facility right here.
Yeah. On the other side of the Noria, can you pull in just to show where the water table is?
And then this is one of the water.
We're gonna pull into the other side so you can see it.
Oh, I see it.
So like I said, this water just comes from the ground because the water table is so high.
And can we do any? Are we gonna do anything? We're just gonna fill it in.
Yeah, we don't need it. It takes up space that could be used for production.
Okay, boys, put your bathing suits on.
Let's get out real quick.
Check it out.
Hold on 2 seconds, please. Always let the
Dust settle.
so we don't get Antonio's car completely
All we
filthy.
are is dust in the wind, though.
I bet you there's fish in there.
You boys bring your poles? Go with the roll that comes from the pecker, Spencer. It usually has a...
So yeah, that water didn't come from anywhere. That water just came
From the seeped in from the ground.
So that what that tells you is that the water level is probably about, I don't know, 8 feet from here.
Should we see if there's any fish? Oh.
I mean, I hear we have close to maybe half a hectare that's out of production just because we're not going to use it. So the best thing you could do if you want to keep it is to spread out all that dirt so you can plant like right next to it and just keep it.
Would there ever be a point where we could use it? Like if we want to grow another crop, like we have there's never.
We could do is we could get a jet ski and fuck around.
I have.
The only thing this would be good for is to stock it with fish, put a little hut on the side and have it for fishing, and that's the only thing that would be good.
Just to fill this back in and make it level.
That's easy. Okay. So, we'll do that. That's the 2 options. Like I said, there's 3 options. fill it back up, and it'll be like a number system. Spread the dirt on the sides, that way we can plant everywhere around except here. Or just leave it as is, which I would not do because we have a lot of waste.
I don't care. I think there's fish. I think there's fish in there.
At Bannermore, I put fucking gators. Well, not gators, but crocs.
You had Crocs in them?
At Bannermore, yeah.
Why?
Why not?
So you just had some Crocs hanging out. So George would have pet Crocs.
Yeah.
Can we name it George?
I could probably get you a croc by next week if you want one.
George, you want a crocodile?
Do it, baby. Let's go, boys.
George, you want a crocodile?
I think we need a pet crocodile.
Then we'll leave it, and what we'll do is I'll just spread out all that dirt, and what I'll do is I'll dump it in the really bad sandy patches, because this is good dirt right here. I'll dump it over there.
So we're gonna have
I'll just make it look nice.
but what will the gator eat?
So what we would do is we would put a little hut, and then you have a couple of poles, and then just when you guys are here.
But we don't have to-
We can make a little a little
Dock.
So and have like a couple of chairs, and we could come and sit here in the afternoons and drink beer.
Fish.
What about dove? Do they get any dove out here that come in?
You
And,
can have those.
okay, let's keep it. If there's dove,
That'd be kind of cool.
Okay. We'll keep it.
if they have dove that come in the afternoons for water, we
need
can
to
just
take a picture of all of us, because this is the first time we're all here at
Yeah.
our property.
let's get a